the question is to both of you, but what draws you to the action adventure genre, especially in your case, Jennifer? You often come to this genre and you always do pretty well, to connect with the audience, doing action films.
You know what? I'm a very physical performer anyway. I think coming from being a dancer, everything for me, even in acting, is choreography. And I always see things very visually. So even blocking of a scene, I'm like, okay, I go over here, I pick this up, I do this, I'm gonna say this line, blah, blah, blah. And then kind of finding and making that natural is such kind of like the dancer in me really comes alive there. And it's the same thing with action moves. When we did the mother and things like that, and the fighting scenes and things like that, I see it all as that. And so being a physical performer, not that this had like tons of action and fighting for me in that way, because I was in that mech suit and Smith was doing all the fighting, but the intensity.
Still very physical. She's, really taking the hits.
It's very physical, and it's very kind of like visceral too. And I like that. That's the part of acting I think I like the most, more than the kind of emotional side of it. I like the visceral side of it, the very natural, instinctual side of acting to me. And in action movies, you really get to do that.
Yeah, it shows you really have to love that, you know what I mean, to do a great job, doing this type of films. The other question to both of you, your perception of AI. I know it's very controversial, you know what I mean, but some people say it's the beginning of a new era for the human race. What do you think so?
Absolutely think so.
Yeah, I think we're definitely on the precipice of I think maybe the next industrial revolution of our time, which is pretty crazy to think about, and there's a lot of unknowns. But I think this movie does a good job of telling a cautionary tale of, well, this is what could go wrong, but also this is what could go right. I think AI has the ability or the potential to really aid us in everyday life. Like I use AI. I was just telling Jen to generate itineraries when I go on trips. What restaurants should I go see? Build this itinerary for me. Or I've even started experimenting with if I'm pitching a project and I use DALL-E to come up with an image that I'm describing. I see in my head, but I just want to something to see it out there. So I mean, there's great implications, but there's also dangers, and especially I think if we allow AI to be in the driver's seat of decision making, I think that's when it's most dangerous. So I think it should always enhance us and help us and aid us, but never lead us.
Exactly. Jennifer, when I was seeing this movie, I just keep telling myself how yourself is always ahead of time, you know what I mean, as an artist. You have been through so much things in the entertainment industry, different ways to entertain people, you know what I mean? And you're always on the edge, you know what I mean? Looking what's next, and not just looking, doing it great.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. I always said this at the beginning of my career, and I guess it's kind of helped me with what you're saying, is I never wanted to get stuck in an era. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I don't want to get stuck in the 80s. I don't want to get stuck in the 90s, even the 2000s when I first came out with my first record. I didn't want to, I always want to be evolving. I want to stay true to who I am, but I also want to keep, kind of being more enlightened, more evolved, going outside my comfort zone and doing all those things. And it's just so interesting to me as an artist to be able to do that, to look at what I did at the beginning of my career and look at what I'm doing now and how different it is. I feel like if I was still trying to do the same thing, that would be really boring for me. So I think because I don't put limits on myself. I really have this mindset, and I did have to thank my parents for this, where they were like, you could just do anything. You really can. They believed in the American dream. My mom and dad were both born in Puerto Rico. They came here when they were 2 and 6. They didn't speak English, and they wanted us to speak English and be American and do all this stuff and have the American dream. And their thing was like, you can do anything in this country. You can do whatever you want. And that really got instilled in me. And so I really never had an idea of I can't be a big movie star, even though there weren't a lot of them, that looked like me. I can't, be a singer and an actress, or I can't be a singer and actress and an entrepreneur. I can't be, and have my own perfume. I just was like, I want to make perfume. I want to be in a movie. I want to, and I'm going to work really hard at that and try to get as good as I can at it so I can do that.
But you know what, Jennifer? We don't know how it's going to end, you know, Simu. The challenge and the guts that you have to start something, right now in this point, it seems like it's very easy. But when you're starting it, you're always on the edge, you know what I mean? And that's really what I call talent, I think. It's not easy to find, you know, in the industry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel seen. Thank you.
Yeah. You are seen, of course.
Sometimes seen too much. It's like my kids say, where are your pants when I'm on stage?
No, congratulations for everything. And we are so glad here in Mexico that you came to promote the Atlas. And yesterday was a big event, you know, for us.
It was so
huge,
great.
yeah.
Felt so much warmth and love in the room.
I got friendship bracelets.
You have
It was
friendship
nice.
bracelets?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
fans
you're
are
like
crazy.
Taylor Swift
I
now.
know.
Look at you.
Look at me. Yeah.
Thanks much, guys. Thank you
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
TV.
Thank you. Muchas
Appreciate
gracias.
you. Gracias a ti.